he's a Guggen.
It's an idiot for you. Come on, slow down.
Hey, you guys think you can give me a little room?
Hey! Meathead!
That's way too close!
Go down there a little bit, come on!
He's hooked up! Get the hell out of the way!
You guys gotta be me.
He's hooked up! Get the out of the way! I'll see you at the dock,
It's so nice being away from the...
This will make you quit this right here.
You'll be fine.
Yeah? Don't count on it.
If they allowed guns out here, there'd be a lot of dead people.
Well, now take down your fishing pole and meet me at the fishing hole. I can't think of a better way to pass the time of day.
RodMob, your Northern California fishing podcast.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today. I'm Scott, and I'm coming at you from my old but cozy bungalow here in the Hayward Hills. Kind of wondering why the Raiders traded for Matt Schaub at $14 million in a draft pick. Hopefully he's the next Rich Gannon.
And I'm Sarah, coming at you from my little corner of the world here in Santa Cruz, where I'm counting down the days till it's time to plant tomatoes. Spring is here, and I'm ready for some gardening.
It's Monday, March 24th, and you're tuned into the RodMob. This is episode 80 of your Northern California fishing podcast.
On today's show, we'll get you up to date on the week's best bites.
The halibut are back, and we'll tell you where.
The bass bite is on at many NorCal lakes.
And we'll update you on the latest trout action.
There are a ton of great events coming up for NorCal anglers, seminars, derbies, spring sales. So stay tuned for this week's RodMob calendar.
And 2 weeks ago, we gave away 5 spots on a Delta Sturgeon trip with Right Hook Sport Fishing. Well, today, we've got another totally badass giveaway that you won't want to miss. We'll cover it all, but first, let's kick things off with the news.
Here's Sarah with the latest headlines.
In this week's headlines, a new report by ocean wildlife conservation group Oceana has been all over the news with some startling figures on commercial fishing in the U.S. According to the report, up to 22% of what U.S. fisheries haul up is thrown out. For Alaskan flatfish trawlers alone, Oceana estimates approximately $17.7 million worth of fish is thrown back every year, almost 3 times the amount the fishermen actually sell. And we're not talking your usual catch and release. Trawl nets the width of football fields rake the seafloor, fishermen pick out the few species Americans will eat, and by the time all the other fish and sea creatures are discarded, much of them are injured or already dead. The report highlights 9 dirty U.S. fisheries. Here in California, it's estimated that the sea gillnet fishery discards 65% of its catch. According to Oceana, many fisheries are taking the initiative to reduce their bycatch and cut back on mortality rates for the creatures that get thrown back. But less than 5% of U.S. fisheries actually document their bycatch the way they're supposed to, which makes it really difficult to gauge the depth of the problem. In Quartz's coverage of this story, they point out that there's a way we American consumers can help by being less picky about the seafood we eat. Scientists recently announced that there are at least 10 times more fish in the ocean than we thought, a whole slew of fish that hang out in the middle of the oceans below 200 feet. Currently, about 30% of seafood sold each year comes from just 10 species. If Western consumers in particular started broadening their eating horizons to include more species, fishermen wouldn't have to go only after premium species that are quickly becoming overfished. Last week, we reported on the United States Fish and Wildlife Service decision to truck salmon from the Coleman Fish Hatchery to the Bay and Delta if we didn't get more rain. Well, the sky's been dry and the trucks are revving up for both state and federal-run hatcheries to transport roughly 30.4 million Chinook salmon to various downriver locations in the hopes of improving their chances of surviving the migration to the Pacific. The first run from the Coleman hatchery starts this Tuesday morning, when smolts will be driven from Anderson to a release site in Rio Vista. And And speaking of salmon, the wait for the Ocean Salmon Opener is nearly over for those of us south of Horse Mountain in Humboldt County. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife issued a press release on Wednesday announcing the recreational ocean salmon season opener is set for Saturday, April 5th from Horse Mountain to the U.S.-Mexico border. Federal fishery biologists estimate roughly 934,000 fall-run Chinook salmon will be in California's coastal waters through the summer. It's lower than last year's estimate, but the DFW says there are still plenty of fish to allow for significant angling opportunities for salmon enthusiasts in all areas off California. The daily bag limit will remain at 2 Chinook salmon, but the Commission recently took action to change the salmon possession limit. 2 daily bag limits are now allowed in possession when on land. However, when on a vessel in ocean waters, no person shall possess or bring ashore more than 1 daily bag limit. The minimum size limit is 20 inches total length. That's for areas between Horse Mountain and Point Arena. For areas south of Point Arena, the minimum size limit is 24 inches total length. For complete ocean salmon regulations that will be in effect for the month of April, you can go to the DFG website or call the Ocean Salmon Regulations Hotline at 707-576-3429. The final 2014 ocean salmon regulations will be decided next month by the Pacific Fishery Management Council during their April 4th through 10th meeting in Vancouver, Washington, and by the Commission at their April 16th and 17th meeting in Ventura. The RodMob began as a grassroots effort to get you the latest local fishing reports without having to wait weeks for a newspaper or sift through a ton of different websites. We are now on our 80th episode of our weekly podcast and reach tens of thousands of Northern California anglers every day through our podcast on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and our website at rodmob.com. For the first time, we're opening up our podcast and website to sponsorship. If you're a small business owner, become a sponsor of the RodMob. You'll help support the show and grow your business by reaching thousands of local potential customers. Email us at fishon@rodmob.com and we'll work with you to put together a custom package that will fit your budget. For more info on how you can work with the RodMob, email us at fishon@rodmob.com.
Well, that's it for the headlines. Now for some tight lines. Here are the latest reports on the best Northern California fishing. Starting with saltwater, the countdown to the April 5th ocean salmon season is on. In his latest fish wrap, Alan Bushnell reports that skippers north of the Golden Gate are seeing big mats of floating krill. Monterey Bay is showing some good signs too. The folks at Bocce Boy Bait in Santa Cruz Small Craft Harbor are reporting tons of anchovies and small squid out there. And some salmon have already been reported near the SoCal Hole.
Speaking of Santa Cruz, some halibut are also making an early appearance. Ed Burrell of Capitola Boat and Bait caught a 30-pounder last week, and we're hearing about some other good catches near the Mile Reef and in flat, sandy areas in 60 to 80 feet of water.
Anyway, back to salmon. It's looking good for the opener. Time to book a trip on a party boat or your favorite six-pack. If you got your own boat, double-check to make sure you're safe and legal and stocked up with gear. And do you know where you're launching from? We'll be tweeting out numbers as we track the bite. So keep us posted with your salmon reports and follow the action on our Facebook page and Twitter.
In the San Francisco Bay, the word is halibut. We're hearing reports of flatties to 25 pounds. USAFishing.com reports the charter boats The Bass Tub and the Lovely Martha have been trolling for halibut at the Berkeley Flats and scoring fish to 21 pounds. Captain Craig Hansen of the Argo out of Fisherman's Wharf made the switch from sturgeon to halibut and landed a 25-pounder trolling at the Alameda Rockwall. The Argo has also been doing some light tackle trolling for stripers with great success during periods of clear water in Upper San Pablo Bay. They're using freshwater gear, an 8-pound test line, and Craig says the stripers hit like a freight train and battle all the way to the net. And Stilo415 sent us some photos of some nice halibut he scored in the bay this week, fishing near the San Mateo Bridge. Bay sturgeon action is still on in the North Bay at the Napa and Petaluma rivers, as well as Sonoma Creek. And in the South Bay, boaters are finding some halibut and stripers, and shore anglers are hooking up the perch.
In the Delta, the sturgeon bite is still going strong. Captain Steve Talmadge of Flash Sport Fishing reports that dino fishing has been good and getting better. The Flash has been fishing off the mothball fleet and using eel and eelgrass shrimp combos. Captain Jay Lopes of Right Hook Sport Fishing has also been having plenty of epic days chasing sturgeon in the Sassoon Bay, little cut and big cut, using eel in his custom row. On Monday, the winners of our Delta Dino Hunt, Charles, John, Rick, David, Tony, and Darren, fished with Captain Jay in Sassoon Bay between the ships and the Benicia Bridge. I thought our RodMob shirts would bring us more luck than they did. We were marking a ton of fish, but only got into a couple shakers. It was a great day on the water, and it was awesome to meet some really cool RodMobbers.
Delta striper action is improving with the waters starting to clear up. There's been some windy days, but trolling P-lines and Yozuris has been productive in the McColumney up to Disappointment Slough. The West Bank, the Power Lines, and Decker and Sherman Islands have also been good for trollers and bait anglers. The Sac in the North Delta has seen some good striper action around Walnut Grove on up, and there's been some good topwater striper action on the San Joaquin with swim baits around 3 Mile Slough up to the McColumney River. Jonathan Politis sent us in a report from his trip last Sunday. He said he searched around for some clearer water, but only found slightly stained, but he still managed to hook a couple of keeper line sides, plugging on the low tide. Scott Feist of Feisty Fish Guide Service was a guest on the California Sportsman Radio Show out of Sacramento's KHTK 1140 AM on Saturday. Scott and host Sepp Hendrickson were talking striper tips. Here's some of their discussion.
Hey, a lot of things are happening. Life's good. I'm back to work. Guiding striped bass. There's a few fish around.
Scott, what have you been doing? What is the technique you've been doing to get into the fish, and where have you been locating them?
I've been all the way in my home waters at Tisdale. This morning we're down in the Delta. From casting to live bait to trolling. This morning we're trolling. We've been fishing for about a half hour. We have one in the box, about 8 pounds. Probably have 4 or 5 other grabs, and we're just kind of really getting started with this. Higher up the rivers, the best choice bait for me has been live bait. But we've gotten some nice fish casting, Berkeley swim bait, as well as, some black rubber worms.
Scott, to help out the private boater that's heading out charging after the stripers and the runs, what are some of the tips? What do they look for when they're coming out there on the water?
Well, that's a broad question. But, now, especially if we're speaking rivers and delta, things are starting to clear. Our rains, the majority of our rains have flushed through, so we're starting to find some clearer, cleaner water you want to look for. In the delta, you're dealing with a tidal thing. The incoming bite tide has been the best for me, down here. But in the rivers, you're looking for somewhere where there's some water. Up north in my neck of the woods, Yuba City, Feather River is a trickle. Unless you're way low in the system in the Verona area, I really honestly wouldn't waste your time. If I was to fish, the Sacramento, I would focus my energy from Tisdale south.
Now, are you finding fish holding in the deeper spots, or are they hanging out there feeding early and late off on the sides and the shallows?
Again, I always say this to all my clients and everybody. If you want to be a good striped bass fisherman, you got to think like a striped bass. So if the sun's high and it's hot and it's the middle of the day, they're probably in deep water. If it's dark early, they're probably in the shades and shadows and shallow gravel bars feeding where bait fish and these kind of things lay.
Don't miss out on this great striper opportunity, folks. You got at least another month, maybe even longer.
It's time to get out here. Now's the time. If you want to do this bass thing, I wouldn't wait too long. We don't have a lot of water. Everything's a little bit different this year. You want to get out and get on a good bite, give me a call. I'd love to have you.
Give me that phone number one more time.
Sure, it's 530-822-6314.
All right, partner, have a good one. Enjoy your day on the water today. We'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, RodMobbers, help support the show. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and leave a review.
Speaking of Delta Stripers, make sure you stick around to hear about our badass giveaway today. Details are coming up later in the show.
Now let's look at the lakes. At Lake Shasta, reports are good for bass for anglers fishing off of structures with rip baits, swim baits, and tubes. Trollers are finding trout on top down to 60 feet.
The bass bite has been great at Clear Lake, and RodMobber Leon Stamps fished a tournament there last weekend. He tells us that the water was 60 degrees and the bite was great in 3 to 5 feet off soft plastics and rattle traps. He nailed a few 6-pounders on trash fish, big Huddlestons, and swim baits. Terry Knight of the Record B reports that just about every fisherman was catching 10 to 30 fish there Wednesday, with a lot of bass between 1 and 3 pounds.
Lake Berryessa trollers are getting into the king salmon on crawlers behind a blade in the main lake. Bank anglers are scoring trout and early season cats. The bass bite is on too at Berryessa. Bass are in stages of spawning and on the move in the shallows. Reports are most baits are producing and that largemouths, smallmouths, and spots are all active. We saw some posts on the California Sportsman's Facebook page from Bill Dunn's Fishing Charters. Looks like he's been nailing the kings and rainbows and reports that he's getting fish to 4.5 pounds rolling shad at 80 to 96 feet down.
RodMobber Chris Kepps reported in from Rohnert Park recently, where he found a great evening bass bite at a local pond and caught a 5-pound hog.
Lalo Ruiz has been sending us some great bass reports, but recently reported in that he got a good-sized crappie fishing in a pond about 20 minutes north of Woodland. Lalo tells us, wanted another bass, but it was a little windy for my topwater frog. Hooked up this nice jumbo crappie on a river to sea swim bait. And Alejandro Contreras reports bass bite is getting hot at the Davis Wildlife. White split tail and spinners, definitely a spot to bring family and kids. Also, carp and catfish are picking up. Alejandro says he saw a few get pulled.
In the East Bay, the trout bite is still very hot at many well-stocked lakes. Los Vaqueros, Lake Chabot, Del Valle. At Los Vaqueros, there are reports of lots of big trout being caught both by boat and by shore anglers. The staff at Lake Chabot reported on Thursday that the excellent bite continues. In back-to-back whoppers, 10.22 pounds of trout were caught by the first dock that day.
San Pablo Reservoir got another plant of Mount Lassen trout last week, and fish are being caught from the shoreline near the main recreation area. Boaters have been having the best luck at the Round Top, Sandy Point, and Scout Canyon. Power bait and chartreuse, rainbow, and garlic have been working well, but night crawlers are the hot bait. And broken back, fire tiger, rapala, meps, and castmasters are the lures of choice. Bass at San Pablo are being caught using spinner baits and plastic worms.
RodMobber Sergio Serpa reported in from Quarry Lakes this week, where he had some good luck using a Thomas Buoyant spoon at Fisherman's Row.
And Brian Baliba had limits of trout 2 days in a row at Horseshoe Lake.
And in the mother lode, New Melones has been the home of some monster bass lately. Glory Hole Sports reported that over the past few weeks, the lake has kicked out 14 and 17-pound largemouth in a 10-pound spot. Best weapons are spinnerbaits, crankbaits, and drop shot rigs.
Pardee Lake received 2,000 pounds of new catchable trout on Wednesday, and Jim Pickens of Fisherman's Friend in Lodi reports that folks fishing from shore have been limiting out on trout using castmasters, jigs, and grubs. Plus, kokanee limits are being taken from the Rockwall and the Rivermouth. Sounds like Apexes and Uncle Larry's are your best bet.
1,200 pounds of Mount Lassen trout got a new home at Lake Comanche on Thursday, where the staff reports the fishing continues to be excellent. The lake is consistently kicking out rainbow trout and bass, and some large crappie as well. Boat anglers looking for trout have been headed to Big Hat Island out by the dam, the North Shore Buoy Line, and upriver in the Narrows near China Gulch. RodMobber Scott Sellers headed to Comanche on Tuesday and reported that the fish are really spread out. Scott got 3 trout and says all 3 fish were taken on brown trout pattern J7 rapalas. His biggest fish was 16.5 inches long and stout and a little over 2 pounds. The South Shore Trout Pond is still active and anglers are catching from shore, kayaks, and float tubes. No word yet as to what bass are biting on, but you'll find them moving up into the shallows.
Post your catch, tips, gear reviews, and more on our Facebook page, facebook.com/RodMob.
Lake Don Pedro has seen some good bass action. There was a tournament there last weekend, and the Modesto Bee reports that 19 limits were weighed in by 29 anglers. Swim baits and minnows have been working well. The Bee also reports there are a ton of female bass on beds in the shallows, but recent tournament pressure has had them a little spooked.
At Lake McClure, trollers dragging crawlers and flashers are scoring limits of trout off Barrett's Cove down 25 to 30 feet, and some kokanee and king salmon are being hooked by trollers near the dam.
Bank anglers at McSwain Reservoir are finding an improved trout bite. Power bait and silver yellow power eggs are getting the bites. The brush pile and handicap docks are good spots. Last Friday, the lake got a plant of 1,000 pounds of fish from the Calaveras Trout Farm.
Rick Kennedy of Tight Lines Guide Service hit Lake Stampede on Friday and sent in this report. We launched at 7 a.m., fished for max for a couple hours without a touch. We noticed kokanee breaking the surface all morning. I threw out a top line with a dodger and a spinner, and it wasn't long before we hooked 2 kokanee, landing 1. As we got close to the island, I marked some nice schools of kokanee at 30 to 50 feet. We rigged up 2 kokanee rods and dropped one to 25 feet and another one at 50. Both rods hooked up. We ended up fishing this school for half an hour or so and putting a nice bunch of kokanee in the box. We found another nice school off the point of the dam. We caught our kokanee on Sepp's Watermelon Strike Master Dodgers and a pink Uncle Larry spinner. The kokanee we caught on the surface were only about 10 inches, and the deeper ones were up to 12 inches. That's small, but it's early. The surface temp at Stampede today was 43 degrees. Rick also reports launching is no problem, and there's no snow anywhere around the lake.
RodMobber Scott Sellers gave Donner Lake a try last Monday, but unfortunately, his lucky RodMob shirt wasn't enough to put any Macs in the box. Scott reported he lost one on a long-distance release and saw one other boat bring in a small Mac. He tried Rapalas and spoons, and despite the advice of Mountain Hardware, he tried a Castmaster, and that resulted in his only bite. Donner Lake got a DFW trout plant last Sunday, so perhaps there's more luck to be had on trout than Macs there right now.
The incredible season continues at Nevada's Pyramid Lake. Some 20-plus pound cutthroats have been landed, and 10-plus pounders are common. PyramidLakeFlyFishing.com reports there have been plenty of 10 to 20 fish days and even a few 20 to 30 fish days. Nymphing rigs and shooting head setups are both working well, so it's a good idea to have them both set up so you can switch between them. Fish are spread out all over the lake from Popcorn Beach to Monument Rock. The next month or so should be epic out there at Pyramid.
The RodMob is all about sharing the best local reports from anglers like you. Do you regularly get out and fish your local waters? Become a RodMob crew member, one of our go-to anglers for reports for the places you regularly fish.
We'll share your reports on the show, plus you'll enjoy some other perks like custom RodMob swag and invites to special VIP events. If you love fishing and are willing to help out fellow anglers by sharing your reports on a regular basis, contact us at fishon@rodmob.com for more info on becoming a RodMob crew member.
All right, let's check in on the rivers. In his latest Fishing the North Coast column, Kenny Priest reports most North Coast rivers are looking good, have plenty of water, and plenty of steelhead. The Eel and Chetco seem to be where most of the boats are. Kenny says some of the smaller rivers like the Mattole, Van Duzen, and South Fork eel are getting on the clear and skinny side, but are perfect for bank fishermen. Reports from all the rivers is there's plenty of steelhead to be had, both fresh ones along with plenty of hungry downrunners. This is a golden opportunity to get in on some dynamite late-season steelhead action. For Kenny's full report on the latest from the North Coast, go to www.times-standard.com/fishing the North Coast or find Fishing the North Coast on Facebook.
It's lights out on the Lower Sac, says AC Fly Fishing in their latest report. Anthony tells us the Lower Sac is fishing as good, if not better, than I have ever seen it. The past few days, the hatches have been sparse, but the fish have been absolutely chowing. Quality, quantity, and even a few dry fly opportunities, it's all happening right now.
Lost Coast Outfitters in San Francisco has a similar report. Guide Hogan Brown spent last weekend on the Lower Sac and rated the fly fishing from Bonnie to Anderson as good to very good. March tends to be one of the best months on the Lower Sac, and recently the water's been great. Brown reported he fished rubber legs and caddis in the riffles with a sucker spawn, then fished a sucker spawn and small PMDs and March brown nymphs in the flats and runs. And the Lower Sac outside of Chico is starting to become active with smallmouth, largemouth, and stripers, and shad should get going early to mid-May.
Scott Weiss hit the Sac on Thursday around Tisdale and got 2 limits of stripers to 12 pounds.
In the eastern Sierras, Tom of Sierra Drifters posted a great report for the Upper Owens River on Friday. Tom says the Crowley steelhead are still around and willing to play.
Mr. Crowley.
There are fewer pods of these large trophy fish overall, but on the right day, you can get well into double digits on 18 to 24-inch rainbows on a guided trip. Good numbers of catchable browns are also on the chew. For Tom's full report and all the great pictures he posts, check out SierraDrifters.com.
Woo! Fish! Woo! All right!
Catch of the Week.
This week, our podcast artwork comes courtesy of Jeff Stogstill. Jeff sent us in a photo and a report for Lake Comanche, where he fished Tuesday and nailed a limit of spotted bass on jerkbaits. Thanks for sharing, Jeff, and congratulations on being this week's Catch of the Week. You've won yourself a free RodMob t-shirt and a shout-out during our segment on the California Sportsman's Radio Show. Got a great catch or report of your own? Post them on our Facebook page at facebook.com/RodMob.
Well, it's giveaway time, and we've got another great one for you, RodMobbers. We're pleased to announce the 2014 Badass Bass Attack on the Delta, with the badass captain himself, Jay Lopes of Right Hook Sport Fishing. Captain Jay will be setting his sights on Delta stripers soon, and we've got a special trip lined up on Monday, April 7th for 3 lucky listeners to join Jay and Scott here at the RodMob for a day on the Delta out of Vieira's Resort in Isleton. You bring your California fishing license, something to eat and drink, and we'll hook you up with the rest, including a sweet RodMob t-shirt to bring you luck on the trip. So, if you want to be part of the RodMob Badass Bass Attack on the Delta on Monday, April 7th, listen up, here's how to enter. Call the RodMob hotline at 855-RodMob1. That's 855-RodMob1. And mention the code word BADASS along with your name and your phone number. We'll do a drawing on Monday, April 1st to select our 3 winners. You're not going to want to miss out on a chance for this one. Remember, to enter, call the RodMob hotline at 855-RodMob1 and mention the code word BADASS along with your name and phone number. Good luck!
Leave your fishing report on the RodMob hotline. 855-RodMob1.
Before we dive into upcoming events, we want to let you know that we've got a brand new events page on the RodMob website. Go to rodmob.com/events to find out all the details on the events we mentioned here in the show and more.
Upcoming events you won't want to miss. Here's the RodMob calendar.
All right, let's see what's on the calendar. Wednesday, March 26th, join Cal Kellogg from the Fish Sniffer and Captain Steve Mitchell of Hooked Up Sport Fishing for a day of sturgeon fishing out of Martinez. Call 707-655-6736 to reserve your spot.
Friday, March 28th, the Fisherman's Friend in Lodi will be hosting a Delta Striper seminar with Captain Barry Canavero and Clive Wands. The seminar is free and starts at 6 p.m. Call 209-369-0204 for more info.
March 29th is Customer Appreciation Day at Johnson Bait and Tackle in Yuba City. MSJ Guide Service will be given a swim bait presentation, and there will be seminars from Scott Feist and Kevin Brock.
Kevin Brock and myself are going to be speaking river striped bass techniques. We're going to cover when, where, how, why, the whole spectrum, A through Z. Look forward to seeing you there.
The day kicks off with a free pancake breakfast at 8 a.m. Head on over to johnsonsbait.com for more info.
March 29th is the Future Pro Lake Berryessa Bass Tournament. For details, call Vince Harris at 916-768-0938.
On March 29th and 30th, the Rancho Seco Recreational Area Trout Derby is happening. The entry fee is $5 plus a daily parking fee. Gates open at 6 a.m., rain or shine. There's RV and tent camping as well as boat rentals available. You can visit smud.org/Rancho Seco for more info or call 916-732-4913.
The surf perch season closes March 31st in the San Francisco and San Pablo Bays.
And of course, April 5th is the salmon opener and the RodMob is ready.
If your strategy for the salmon opener is to sit back and let other folks deal with the crowds and scout out the hot spots, you've got some great other events to choose from.
On Saturday, April 5th, the Headwaters in Lodi is holding their spring kayak and ski swap meet. And this year, they've got a full fishing expo going on, too. If you're a kayak angler or looking to get started, owner Daniel Arbuckle and the rest of the Headwaters team has everything you need for kayak fishing.
This year, we're having a kayak fishing expo. We're going to have everything you need to know about kayak fishing set up in the parking lot. And then we'll also have food trucks here. Local wineries will be on site with free wine tasting. We'll have everything you need to get you set up in kayak fishing. Come check us out.
Visit headwaterskayak.com or call 209-224-8367 for details.
Also on April 5th, you can celebrate Steelhead at the 6th Annual Steelheaders Gathering held at the Russian River Sportsman's Club in Duncan Mills. The event runs from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. with a full bar, appetizers, dinner, and dessert. Tickets are available online at www.rrwss.org or at King Sport and Tackle in Guerneville. And for more info, you can also call 707-869-2156.
And the NorCal Trout Anglers Challenge at Collins Lake is also happening on April 5th. For info on this derby or to register for any of the upcoming Trout Anglers Challenge events, go to www.anglerspress.com or call 916-768-0938.
Mark your calendars because you're not going to want to miss the Derby happening the following weekend at Collins Lake on April 12th and Media Day at Party Lake on the 13th. For more info on these events, here's Gary Irk, president of the California Inland Fishery Foundation, from his appearance on Saturday's California Sportsman with hosts Sepp and Kent.
We got the Collins Lake Derby coming up on April 12th.
That's right.
It's a great one, Seth. What a great event. We got barbecues by Buckhorn. We have folks that go out there and catch monster fish. Shore anglers win all the time. a huge raffle, kids fish free, thanks to Lowrance. It's a great event, folks. Don't want to miss it.
Well, Lowrance does take care of all the kids, and kids are under 16. You can bring 2 along with each paid adult at no charge. They get their lunch free. They're in the Derby free because Lowrance supports it, and we believe in it at California Inland Fisheries Foundation. It's a great event, and Collins is a trout fishing derby, and you really welcome a lot of guys to fish from shore, don't you?
Absolutely, Seth. It's a great event. You don't need a boat to win. In fact, people place every year and take home big checks just from the banks right next to the launch ramp, actually.
Time out. You're going to share a little bit. Kent's got to talk bass, I guarantee.
Time out.
Yes.
We want to invite the California Sportsman's listeners down to our big Party Lake Jackson Rancheria Media Day, and that's coming up April the 13th, Sunday, and we invite you to bring your boats down, Sep. We're going to have, 15 to 20 of the top bass fishermen throughout the West, and 15 or 20 of the top outdoor riders, videographers, folks in the,
you've seen their photos, you've read their stories.
You name the guys, from Tackle Tour to Bassmaster Magazine to Fish Sniffer, Western Outdoor News, we can't cover everybody. RodMob, USAFishing.com, everybody who's anybody's going to be there, shooting video, taking pictures of the guys, and we invite you to come down and tag along. And that's April the 13th, and it's our big Party Lake Media Day.
Anybody can come on out and watch this.
Oh,
event.
good. You come down, hang out on the docks, and there's plenty of opportunity to meet the guys. You want to go watch, Bub Tosh throw a swim bait, or Jimmy Reese, fish a worm, or whatever. You just bring your boat and follow along.
Gary, it's going to be a huge event. We'll share more with them later on. What else do we need to tell them?
We just need to remind them to get signed up for Collins Lake. There's still time to get that early bird fishing rod. We have custom rods made by C4 Rods. Chris Sides out of El Dorado Hills makes a great stick. You get your application in by April 4th. You're going to get in the drawing for that free custom rod. And there's 2 ways for folks to do that. They can go to CIFFI.org and check the link on the left. Hey, sign me up for the Collins Lake Derby or the Pardee Derby or the Berryessa Derby. Get in and get early. Or they can call 209-810-9603, and Wendy will take that information down.
Outstanding. That number again, folks, 209-810-9603. You can call Wendy, and she'll take care of all the info for you.
For details on these and other upcoming events, check out our events page at rodmob.com. And if you have an event you'd like to promote, drop us a line at fishon@rodmob.com.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for listening and supporting the Rod Mob, where you can always get the latest local reports from anglers like you.
Don't forget to call the Rod Mob hotline to enter to win a spot on our Badass Bass Attack on the Delta. That number is 855-ROD-MOB-1, and be sure to mention the code word BADASS.
And keep those fishing reports coming. You can post to our Facebook page, email them to fishon@rodmob.com, or leave your report on the Rod Mob hotline at 855-ROD-MOB-1, and we'll get your report on the show.
And if you post or send in a report, not only will you have the satisfaction of helping out fellow anglers, we'll send you a free weather-resistant decal so you can help rep the mob on your car, truck, or boat.
Thanks, everyone, for 80 great shows. We're just getting started. Be sure to like us on Facebook for daily updates in your news feed, and you can hear us on the California Sportsman's Radio Show, hosted by Sep Hendrickson, Saturday mornings on KHTK 1140 AM in Sacramento, or listen online at seps.com.
Please help spread the word by telling a friend about the Rod Mob. Have a great week.
And until next time, keep us posted.
Rod Mob.